leadership work, and I'm excited that two principals have been really on top of me saying, we need to do this, we need to do this. And then finally, when I made the decision, they were like, we are super excited that this work is happening. And they are our stars of the district. They've been able to go to conferences and share the work that they've been doing, as well as the other day they were on Magic Schools had a Fireside Chat. They were there as well. And so we were able to see and hear the great work that's happening. And I was like, we gotta do this with District 19 principals, because the work that you're doing with AI in your schools deserves to be shared, deserves to be replicated. And so we're gonna take this time to welcome our guests to the soft seat. Not gonna be a hot seat today. Our soft seat, let's give a shout out, clap it up, clap for them. Dr. Ben and Principal Erwin, please join me in our District 19 Fireside Chat. Okay, I'm so excited. I'm about to go into character right now. That's the other thing. All right. So, I had the opportunity to have a one-on-one conversation with each of them as they were planning for their principal one-on-one with me. And one of the things that struck me is how they are thinking about AI across their school and how they're using it as a leader. And so I have a few questions, and I wanted to hear from both of you about your why and how you are adopting AI across your schools.
Well, first of all, thank you for having us on your show. We appreciate being here. And my why is really the district's why. Like, it really resonates with me, eliminating the predictability of who succeeds and who does not. It's very important to me when I think about how teachers perceived me as a child. They might have saw me as the does not, right? But I'm not a have not. So I want to know, what could I have done differently in my school from when I started until now? And then AI popped up, and it just became an assistive technology that helped me to better eliminate the predictability. And my teachers use it, and my kids use it, and we love it. We're going to continue on.
So for me, during COVID, I think all of us realized that the digital divide is something real. I don't think we realized how widespread it was until we were forced to rely on technology to provide basic instruction. So my why is connected to that. I want to make sure that children that look like you and I, right? Children within District 19 specifically are not left out, because oftentimes, because we are considered a district with high needs, the emphasis isn't really on what is future forward or future driven, right? A lot of the times we are provided with remediation, or the thought is that our students cannot perform, cannot do it. And because of that mindset, we often get left out. So we wanted to make sure that in District 19, we can say that our students are not being left out.
We know that this is a big goal and a big push to have implemented across school. Like, this is years of work, right? So we can't go in immediately and say, okay, my whole school's AI school, right? There's some thought and planning. I'm sure you have like a 3-year plan in place. But what would you recommend as your first step to principals that you took? Like, what pilot might you have done? What tool? What was your exploratory approach to beginning AI in your school?
So the first step really is around vision sharing. You have to make sure your folks understand what direction you want to head and eventually the school will head. So if you're clear about what your vision for AI is, you're more likely to garner not buy-in, but psychological ownership, right? Buy-in speaks to compliance. We don't want folks who are compliant. We want you to own the work. So rather than using the term buy-in, I use psychological ownership. And the only way you can allow teachers to own the work is if you're very clear about your vision and ultimately your expectations.
Also, send your STEM innovators to our monthly meeting, and then they can come back to your schools and bring it to you. However, for me, it was I kept talking about it. I just kept saying it every day. I use AI, and the teachers kept getting curious about it, and they went looking for things. A couple of teachers found Magic School, and then they brought it to me, and they saw my excitement, and then we all got excited. And then, they started preparing professional development for the staff and showing them how Magic School was making instruction more engaging and exciting in their classrooms. And folks got curious and they wanted to try. So we really did it through distributive leadership, if you will, my talking about it, and then the teachers building it out in our school communities.
So just stay on that for a minute and let's get a little practical. What does professional development for AI look like at your school? And what has been the most effective in getting your staff comfortable and confident with using those tools?
Sure, so in terms of comfortable, the good old scavenger hunt works really well because you just get to play around with it lightly. But in terms of professional development, I wanted their PD to be aligned to our priority focus. And so last year's priority focus was heavily built around standards-based tasks. And Magic School has a standards unpacker, so we wanted to start there. How can we use a tool that is relevant to our daily work and will drive and improve instruction in our school community?
So my school consists of a lot of, I don't want to say old heads, but folks who are resistant. So what I had to do initially is survey to figure out what their comfortability and capacity were. So once that information was returned to me, that's where you have to start. You can't have lofty goals and end up not achieving any of them at the end of the year. You have to figure out where your staff is and meet them there. So if they're uncomfortable, if they're apprehensive, your PD has to be around that initially. Mitigating that uncomfortability, figuring out why they're apprehensive, because it may be a capacity issue or it may not be. It may be something that they're completely opposed to. So what I did was I started with a survey, figured out where my staff was, and planned my PD from there. Just incremental growth is really key.
So AI tools are powerful, but they're not perfect. How do you ensure that the insight that you get from AI are used as a starting point for human decision making and is not a replacement for educator intuition?
So I have a term that I use quite often. I'm trying to figure out how to coin it, make some money off of it. You know what it is? You know what it is?
Own the thinking, expedite the doing is the term that he uses.
So that simply means AI is a tool. It's not intended to replace. Its intentions are to enhance. So you have to figure out how to establish guidelines and safeguards originally or initially to make sure that teachers understand there is bias in AI. AI is not perfect, right? It's a large language model, so it's programmed by what's already out there. And as we all know, bias exists. So if you train your teachers to identify bias when they feel it's arising in AI, that's very important as well. Because what happens is, well, in our schools, we don't want to further these biases. So you have to let your teachers know AI is imperfect by design, and you have to own the thinking, expedite the doing, meaning you cannot rely on AI to do everything for you. One of the innovators spoke about plagiarism, and she asked, well, if I type the prompt to my essay in ChatGPT and it spits out an essay and I turn it in to my professor, is that plagiarism? What do you all think?
Yes.
It is plagiarism. You didn't do any work, right? It is.
GPT now is watermarked.
And it's watermarked, right? So it is plagiarism. The point that I'm trying to make is you have to be involved in the process, either through prompt engineering or reviewing of what the AI's output is. So you cannot remove the human element from AI because ultimately the thinking is lost.
So you did something interesting this year, and I want to talk about, as a leader, you took your AI data, you took your state data, all of your assessment data, and you utilized Notebook LM to support the data, even turned it into a podcast, I heard, in some places. Talk to us about how you, as a leader, are using the AI tools to think about your scheduling, your timing, and the impact of that work.
That's a big one, Dr. Collins. Okay, so Notebook LM you can really drop a file into the program and it organizes it quickly and analyzes it. As you said, we made podcasts out of it. So now you can do other things and listen to the information about your school at once. But it also identifies really quickly your next steps in instruction, right? For example, for me, it told me really quickly, this year, we have to work on 4th grade fractions, right? So I know out the gate, fractions is a center, a station, always, because we really struggled with fractions. So I really use it to help me think. I used it to help me think through my priority focus and designing that, making it more specific and strategic. I think about my feedback from you and why I keep getting certain scores in certain areas. And I really work with it to be more explicit about what I say to my staff and how I lead. It's a great thought partner.
I use it to really save time, so it allows me to focus on what I need to focus on, which is instruction. So when I get the emails from Ms. Muklau, I grab it, drop it, and it replies. And that's just an example of how I can spend more time focusing on instruction and running the building rather than a lot of the clerical things that we get bogged down with. Another way that I use it is to eliminate the guesswork. So at one point, we thought our students, based on all of the data that we reviewed, were struggling with R2 and R3. That was the belief for a very long time. Over the summer, I used Notebook LM and I dropped the June instruction report in Notebook LM, and what it displayed was completely mind-boggling. So it was a reminder that we have to figure out how to work smarter, not necessarily harder. If I gave my teachers that same document, the June instructional report, by the time they figured out what the true needs were, the year would be over. So what Notebook LM allowed me to do was really crunch a lot of data in a very short period of time, in a way that is not only effective but efficient. It allows humans to really focus on what the underlying issues are rather than assuming these are the issues. So it allows me to be a lot more intentional and direct and purposeful, and it saves a ton of time.
What do you think is the single most important piece of advice you would give to another principal who is just starting to think about integrating AI into either their daily work, into their school practice? What would you suggest?
You want to go?
My friend Connie is smiling over there because she came to mind. It's really find somebody who uses it and talk with them, ask them questions. We got on a lot of Zooms to talk out what I did. She had thoughts on what she wanted to do. And can you help me? And sure, of course. And then she's like, this is great. I love it. I'm going to do it. And look what I did, right? And so that kind of built the momentum with her and her team. And it also encouraged me to keep learning, because one thing we know about AI is changing very quickly. It's getting smarter very quickly. And, you have to read and read and read and read to kind of keep up with all of the new tools that are coming out day after day.
My advice would be to break things down in phases or stages, right? I have a lot of lofty goals, as I mentioned earlier, and I want it all right away. But unfortunately, we work with individuals who have varying capacities. So figure out what your mission and vision are and break AI implementation or rollout into stages or even years. So stage 1 would be teacher focus. Stage 2 would be student focus, and stage 3 would be full implementation, meaning your teachers, as well as your student community, know exactly what tools in AI can further the teaching or the learning. So break things down into small stages and be very specific also. So if you, for example, Magic School has about 100 different tools, pick 1 or 2 and become experts at those. And once you become experts at those, then you can continue to build. So you want to make sure you set a firm, realistic foundation and build year after year or stage after stage, depending on the capacity of the educators in your building.
Just to push around that, are there new applications that you're excited to explore, such as personalized learning for students or AI assistance for teachers? What would you recommend to your colleagues about things that they should be, or applications they should be thinking about?
So thinking about the district's goal around writing, there are a ton of tools within Magic School and other platforms that allow students to not only become more intentional about their writing, but think about it as well. be metacognitive. So there are tools where you can have a writing tutor, or there are tools where you can have almost a thought partner. So a student can put a paragraph or even an essay into the platform and ask the tool, how can you help me, or what tips and suggestions do you have to help me strengthen my writing? And the tool will give them examples. It's not doing the work for them, but it's functioning more in a thought partner. Conversely, if you have students who struggle like basics, figuring out a topic sentence, there are tools that can allow them to do that. Because the focus shouldn't be the mechanics, the focus should be really the thought processes around becoming a high-performing writer. So there are tools that I recommend around writing that you can get started almost immediately.
My favorite tools are aligned to feedback right now because that's part of my priority focus. Within Magic School, there is a feedback generator for writing, for math. But I also found a new tool, Light Something, that I spoke to the vendor yesterday. It's one that students can scan their math, and it analyzes it and finds the misconceptions and the errors and kind of breaks down some next steps for instruction for the teacher in real time and directions for the students. It was brilliant. So I want to learn more about that.
And so finally, as we exit our fire chat, as AI becomes more central to education, how do you see the role of the principal evolving? What new skills or mindsets will be most important for future school leaders? So again, as AI becomes more central to education, how do you see the role of principals evolving, and what new skills or mindsets will be most important for future school leaders?
Two things for me. I have become a learner again, where yes, we are a leader. Now I'm learning all these new things, and it really excited me in the role because I'm learning how to increase my capacity by using AI more. So as he mentioned, less time on compliance, more time in the classroom, as well as giving myself a growth mindset of there's more to be done. You may be doing okay, but you can do better, and this is gonna help you close those gaps like we discussed a few minutes ago.
The biggest tool or advantage, I think, is AI allows principals to shorten the observation and feedback loop. I was talking to Connie earlier, and I was sharing with her, I'm working with Google on a tool that not only analyzes advanced MOTP data, but it also looks at the observation data. You can upload your low inference notes. If you're in a school where teachers have signed on to be videoed or recorded, you can upload that into the platform, and you can ask it to rate the teacher using the Heidi rating scale. And it takes no more than 2 or 3 minutes. So imagine getting to not only observing teachers, but giving them targeted feedback, right? Because the AI is very, very objective, where we find, I know for myself, there are times where I'm extremely subjective. So AI eliminates the subjectivity in the observation. So I would implore all principals to give it a shot, even encourage your teachers to sign up to be recorded, because with that type of low inference information, you get the student voice in it as well. And you can ask AI specific things. And in Notebook LM, there's an interactive feature where you can even ask it to prescribe PD in this particular area because you notice the results or the responses from the students or on a particular side. So just really embracing it and taking advantage of that observation objectivity that it provides.
So I want to thank you both for sharing your insight with us. This will be the first of many. We will be able to be holding office hours. At some point, we're moving our office hours from Wednesdays to some Feel Good Fridays. So excited to have you be a part of our Feel Good Friday, sharing more insight. I think your quote, what's your quote again about AI?
Own the thinking, expedite the doing.
Own the thinking, expedite the doing. So again, closing that know and doing gap that we see that's happening across our district. So again, we thank you all, appreciate you, and thank you everybody.